Did you know that right in the middle of Europe, there's a country that's not only clean and peaceful, but also called the North Korea of Europe, hidden between Poland, Russia, and Ukraine? Belarus also stands out for its women who are admired by men all over the world. The country even has bold love festivals that few people know about. But be careful, you might lose money with unexpected car troubles and run into a quirky trend of people working with their shirts off. Stay with us until the end, and you'll discover all these secrets about Belarus. Number 15. Belarus sparked the biggest name change debate in Eastern Europe. Can you imagine if one day the U.S. decided to drop the name United States and pick something that sounded more like a fairy tale? In the 1990s, Belarus faced a bold idea just like that. After the fall of the Soviet Union, this newly independent nation wanted to break away from Russia's shadow as quickly as possible. A group of scholars and politicians proposed changing the country's name from Belarus to White Ruthenia. They argued that Belarus came from Belaya Rus, which is tied to Russia, while White Ruthenia would revive the medieval name of the land. Supporters called it a historic step to cut ties with Moscow. But society immediately exploded into debate. Parliament, academics, the media, and ordinary people were deeply divided. Opponents warned about the massive costs, passport signs, currency, even international treaties estimated in the hundreds of millions of US dollars, equal to an entire year's education budget. Diplomats feared a name too anti-Russian could push relations with Moscow into crisis. Many older citizens saw it as denying history and worried it would throw the nation into turmoil. Small protests broke out in Minsk, newspapers debated every word, and some lawmakers even threatened to resign if the bill passed. Researchers later called it the biggest name change debate in post-Soviet Eastern Europe. In the end, after years of tension, the proposal was rejected, and Belarus kept its official name, the Republic of Belarus. Number 14. Belarus exports women around the world. In Belarus, especially in cities like Minsk, Brest, and Grodno, it's common to see women with striking beauty, fair skin, bright blue eyes, golden hair, and tall, graceful figures. You may not know this, but women make up more than 53% of the population, noticeably higher than the 50.5% in the U.S. That small difference adds up nationwide to hundreds of thousands of extra women, compared to men, a factor that has fueled talk of a Belarus bride wave. Coming from Eastern Slavic roots, Belarusian women impress not only with their looks but also with their education. More than 90% have at least a secondary education, and many speak foreign languages. About 60% speak English and 63% know German. This combination of beauty education and international communication skills has made Belarusian women a focus of attention for foreign men. In the past, thousands of Belarusian women registered on international mail-order bride websites, creating a controversial bride industry that drew global criticism. Belarus even has one of the highest rates of women competing in international beauty contests in Europe. Some went on to become stars abroad: Miss World runner-up 2004, Olga Duchitskaya, Miss Tourism World 2003, Maria Marashenkova, and models for fashion houses in Paris and Milan. This led to a dramatic statement in 2005 from President Alexander Lukashenko. Losing the beautiful women of our country is a great loss and erodes national pride. We will never allow our young women to become objects of trade. Since then, the government has tightened rules for international marriages. Foreigners wanting to marry Belarusian women must prove financial stability to live in the country long-term and go through strict checks. Women who stand out in sports, the arts, or beauty contests are closely monitored to limit the brain and beauty drain. Number 13. Belarus bans dialogue with aliens. Sounds ridiculous, right? We're not even sure aliens exist, but in Belarus there was once an official case involving them. The story began in 2016 when a group of residents in the city of Vitebsk wanted to create an association called the Vitebsk Intergalactic Center. Their goal sounded both strange and fascinating: to give locals the chance to communicate with extraterrestrials. They argued that registering officially would make their activities more serious, maybe even attract scientific research or international attention. But the dream of intergalactic dialogue was quickly crushed. Local officials flatly refused to grant permission, and the idea of contacting UFOs through a legal association was shut down. What surprised people most was that the reason for denial was never clearly explained. Authorities simply declared it inappropriate. So Belarus became one of the few countries that can claim it once officially blocked attempts at dialogue with aliens. Number 12. Fortune-telling with a rooster in Belarus. In many parts of the world, New Year's Eve means fireworks and parties. But in Belarus, people have quirky and fun traditions to predict love. During the Bribing Festival, which lasts from Christmas on December 25th until New Year's, unmarried girls often take part in a love forecasting game using a rooster. Each girl places a pile of corn kernels in front of her, and then a rooster is released into the circle. Whichever pile it pecks at first is believed to reveal the girl who will be the first to marry in the coming year. The atmosphere is always lively, filled with excitement and laughter as groups of friends wait for their fate to be decided by a chicken. There are also other fun fortune-telling games. A married woman hides symbolic objects around the house for her single friends to find. Whoever finds bread is said to marry a rich man. Whoever finds a ring will marry a handsome husband, and whoever only finds an onion might face a year full of tears. Before this, families usually gather around a kucha dinner, a traditional meatless barley porridge that represents purity and a fresh start. Number 11. Seniors ride public transport for free. Can you imagine this? The moment you turn 60, you can ride the bus, streetcar, or even the subway without paying a dime. In Belarus, that's daily reality. The Belarusian government grants completely free public transportation to all seniors across the system, from city buses and trams to the Minsk metro. It means that once you're 60 or older, you can travel all over the capital and other cities for zero cost for life. What's even more surprising is the quality of service. The Minsk metro is famously clean, punctual, and rated as one of the most efficient underground systems in Eastern Europe. Many tourists compare it with New York or Chicago, where subway fares now cost more than $3 per ride, and delays or trash are common, and they admit Minsk feels spotless and almost unbelievable. This policy doesn't just save seniors money, it also plays a big role in social connection. Older Belarusians can easily go shopping, visit friends, walk in the park, or join exercise clubs without worrying about ticket costs. Many say they feel like they're still part of the city, avoiding the loneliness so common among seniors in the West. Number 10. The North Korea of Europe. Did you know that right in the heart of Europe, just next to the European Union, there's a country often called the North Korea of Europe? That country is Belarus. The reason is clear, strict censorship. Newspapers, TV, and the internet are all under state control. There have even been cases where people were summoned by police and fined just for accidentally clicking, like on social media. The organization Freedom House has ranked Belarus as not free for over a decade straight, giving it a score of just 12 out of 100 for civil and political rights, lower than Iran, Venezuela, and Myanmar, and on par with North Korea. Hard to believe, right? Especially when it's only a few hours' drive from Warsaw. But here's the paradox. If you only look at daily life, Belarus feels quite comfortable. It's one of the cleanest and safest countries in Eastern Europe. The capital, Minsk, has a modern subway system, tidy streets, low living costs, and a crime rate that's actually lower than many Western cities. People can walk at night without worrying about being mugged. Yet behind this calm lies quiet control. Any protest without official approval leads to immediate arrest, even if it's just one person standing silently with a small sign. Independent media barely exists, and any journalist who writes the wrong way quickly disappears from the press. Number 9. Fined for a dirty car. Have you ever been fined just because your car was too dirty? In the US, a dusty car might just make your neighbors frown. But in Belarus, it could cost you up to $50 in fines. According to Belarus traffic laws, if mud covers your license plate or headlights, police have every right to stop your car and issue a ticket. The usual fine used to be between $20 and $50. It may sound small, but in a country where the average monthly salary is around $500, it's not money people can easily ignore. Because of this, Belarus has developed a unique cultural habit, the weekend car wash. People regularly wash their cars, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, as part of social routine. On the streets of Minsk, it's rare to see a mud-caked vehicle like you might spot in rural America. What's interesting is that the government views this not only as a matter of cleanliness, but also as part of the country's image. That's why the streets of the Belarusian capital are almost always neat, with cars shining as if they just rolled out of the garage. Number 8. Belarus and the global tractor brand. When people think of Belarus, many picture a small, poor Eastern European nation. But did you know it's actually one of the world's largest tractor manufacturers? Since Soviet times, Belarus was known as the tractor factory of the socialist bloc, and the MTZ Belarus brand became an industrial icon. Today, the Minsk Tractor Works factory is still the heart of the country's industry. Since its founding in 1946, MTZ has produced more than 3.5 million tractors. Every year, Belarus exports tens of thousands of them to over 60 countries across Europe, Asia, Africa, and even the United States. That's right, you read that correctly. Even in American fields, you can spot red tractors proudly marked Belarus. What's amazing is that Belarusian tractors are built tough, cheap, and easy to repair, making them perfect for remote rural areas, where spare parts are hard to find. That's why in places like Cuba, Venezuela, Sudan, and even Canada, and the U.S., farmers still choose a Belarus tractor over pricier Western brands. Here's a fun comparison. While the U.S. is famous for Ford or John Deere, little-known Belarus has managed to maintain a global tractor brand for more than 70 years. Number 7. Bribing doctors with gifts. Can you imagine a country where heart surgery, brain surgery, or even organ transplants are free for every citizen? That's Belarus. The healthcare system here is truly free, in every sense, from routine checkups and medication to major surgeries. Because of this, Belarus has even been called the medical tourism paradise of Eastern Europe, attracting an average of 200,000 foreign patients each year. But behind this free healthcare lies a unique cultural twist, bribing with gifts. In the U.S., tipping a doctor is unthinkable and could even land you in court. But in Belarus, bringing a box of chocolates, a fine bottle of cognac, or a fruit basket to thank the doctor is seen as normal. People believe a small gift isn't corruption, it's simply a way to show gratitude. Of course, legally speaking, this is considered bribery, and any form of it is banned. But in reality, almost everyone in Belarus has at some point given a little gift to their doctor. So what do you think? Should this be seen as a charming part of gift-giving culture, or as a form of soft bribery that society just turns a blind eye to? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 6. Belarusians have almost no personal debt. Can you believe there's a European country where people carry almost no personal debt? That country is Belarus. While in the U.S., household debt makes up more than 75% of GDP with the average family, owing credit card balances, mortgages, and car loans in Belarus, the rate is shockingly low, among the lowest in Europe. Belarusians live by the habit of spending within their means, only buying when they actually have the money. Consumer credit culture has never been widespread like in the West. Instead of buying cars with bank loans, many Belarusians prefer to walk, bike, or use public transportation. Housing is often built or purchased through long-term savings, sometimes with government support instead of heavy mortgages. A regional study of Eastern Europe showed Belarusian household debt at only 7 or 8% of GDP, far lower than the 50-60% in Poland or Russia. This means that while many Europeans pay monthly interest, Belarusians spend most of their income on daily life family or small savings. Number 5. The Ivan Kupala Love Festival. Have you ever thought your love life could be predicted by nothing more than a flower wreath floating on the water? In Belarus, that's not just a legend. It's the centerpiece of the Ivan Kupala Festival, which goes back more than 1,000 years to the days when Slavic people worshipped the sun and water gods. Held on the night of July 6th through the dawn of July 7th, the time of the year's longest day and shortest night, the festival turns Belarusian villages into one giant party. At sunset, tens of thousands of young people gather by rivers and forest meadows. Girls weave wreaths from 12 wildflowers, a number symbolizing abundance, and release them onto the water. If the wreath floats far and the candle stays lit, it's believed to mean love is near. If it sinks or gets stuck, it signals that romance is still far away. Would you dare try it and see what the river of fate tells you? The night gets even more exciting when young men and women hold hands and jump over bonfires nearly 3 feet high. Tradition says couples who hold on tight will have lasting love. If they let go, it's a sign of separation. In some regions, people even release a rooster into the crowd to predict who will marry first, a scene that's both funny and chaotic. Number 4. The street art capital of Europe. Do you think of Belarus when you think of street art? Probably not. But Minsk has become a surprising destination for anyone who loves colorful murals and youthful creative culture. Walking through the capital's streets, especially Oktyabrskaya, a former industrial district turned creative paradise, you'll find massive murals covering entire buildings. From bright abstract works to portraits with social and political messages, Minsk's street art is both free-spirited and a reflection of modern life. A special highlight is Vulika Brazil, a street art festival first held in 2014 through a collaboration between Minsk and the Brazilian embassy. The event brought together talented artists from across Belarus and Brazil, creating a dialogue in color on the city's gray brick walls. Since then, Minsk hasn't just preserved its heavy Soviet heritage, it's also wrapped itself in a new vibrant artistic layer. What's interesting is that street art in Minsk isn't just for young people. Many older residents also enjoy strolling and looking at the murals, seeing them as a kind of open-air library for the modern era. Unlike the stern Lenin statues still standing in public squares, Minsk's murals bring an opposite atmosphere, cheerful, free, and full of creativity. Number 3. Half of Belarus is covered in green forests. Can you imagine a modern European country where nearly half the land is covered by forests? That's Belarus, where about 40% of its territory is forest, double the forest coverage of the United States. Think about it, if you live in New York, you'd have to drive for hours to reach a big forest. But in Minsk, just a few minutes of walking can make you feel lost among the trees. Belarus also has over 2 million hectares of peat bogs, one of Europe's largest natural carbon sinks, storing more emissions than dozens of coal power plants combined. And did you know that in Belarusskaya, Pushcha National Park, the last primeval forest in Europe, European bison, weighing up to 2,000 pounds, still graze freely? This species once went extinct in the wild, but in Belarus it was brought back to life. It's not just nature, it's culture. Belarusians consider the forest their second home. Almost every family has a dacha, a small wooden house in the countryside, where they grow vegetables, pick mushrooms, and camp on weekends. Imagine this in America. Families line up at Walmart. In Belarus, whole families head into the woods to hunt for green gold mushrooms and berries, then come back to cook draniki, crispy potato pancakes made from freshly dug potatoes. And when it's cold, they gather in a traditional banya, a birchwood sauna in the forest, to steam talk and laugh together. Number 2. The take off your shirts and work craze. Can you imagine what would happen if a U.S. president stood before millions of people and accidentally said, "Take off your shirts," and work Twitter and Facebook would explode with memes. But in Belarus, this actually happened. In 2016, President Alexander Lukashenko gave a speech urging people to work until you sweat rabbited do poda. But many misheard or deliberately twisted it into take off your shirts and work. The result: a hilarious nationwide trend. Workers posed shirtless while driving tractors, surgeons, and operating rooms, wore half-open lab coats, and teachers and students joined in with the hashtag #WorkWithoutShirts. In a society often seen as closed and serious, this phenomenon became living proof of Belarusians' self-deprecating humor. They managed to turn a dry political slogan into a national joke. And it wasn't the first time. Belarusians even call themselves Tudashi, meaning we're just from here, a phrase that's both humble and a subtle jab at their tough reality. Number 1. More than 300 potato recipes. Can you believe there's a country where potatoes are more important than bread? In the US, the average person eats about 100 pounds of potatoes per year. Just enough for a few servings of mashed potatoes or some fries at McDonald's. But in Belarus, that number is blown away an average of 400 pounds of potatoes per year per person. In other words, one Belarusian eats as many potatoes as 4 Americans combined. And it's not just the quantity, they've transformed potatoes into over 300 different dishes. Have you ever heard of draniki golden crispy potato pancakes? Or babka, a rich baked potato casserole? They even have kolduni potato dumplings stuffed with meat soft and savory. Just reading this, are you starting to feel hungry? What's more, Belarus even has a potato museum in the village of Samochwalovichi, near Minsk. Their hundreds of potato varieties are displayed like national treasures. You can even see the old tools that farmers used to grow potatoes centuries ago. Think about it in the US. Do we have a hamburger museum? Not really. But in Belarus, the potato is honored as part of the national identity. Belarus is truly a country full of unique stories. Which of these 15 facts impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss our next discoveries about this fascinating world.